4 months ago. 4 months ago. And on that application, I had over 200 applications for an intern position. That's quite a lot. Now, it took me the couple of 2 to 3 weeks to go through all those applications. And then the annoying thing is, we have people that applied for the job who are not qualified for it. I will give an example. Someone with a programming skill applying for a marketing role. Now, within programmers, one with front-end developer applying for full stack or back-end roles, or one person who only have experience with Vue.js applying for a front-end role that require React.js. And then when you come to the design, a UI UX design applying for the role of a graphics designer or an illustrator or a CAD design. And this really chokes recruiter. And one pain point which recruiter out there are crying for daily and daily, even among my circles and friends, is that there are just so many unqualified candidates applying for roles they are unqualified for. And what is the result of this? If you're applying for a job through LinkedIn and you are hitting the apply button for every job, this is what happened. Let me tell you the back channel. Even myself, I used to use LinkedIn Recruiter to hire. I think I've hired for 3 different roles on LinkedIn in time past. And this is what happened. Once you click apply to various jobs you are unqualified for, in your next application, the recruiter or the hiring manager hiring for that role won't be able to see your job. Your job application will immediately go to the spam in the LinkedIn job board tool. It goes to the spam, and this reduces your chance of ever hearing back. So for any jobs you're applying for, you need to ensure you are qualified for. You are very selective. Now, during this, it push your application to the top tier in that job. If you're following, kindly type following to ensure that you are not lost in this explanation. Anyone following? So how do you know jobs you are qualified for? Just a minute. So I'll be sharing my screen and we'll be doing some practice for you to identify jobs you are qualified for. Okay. Before proceeding, I can see Greater is saying is lost. So I'm going to repeat quickly for those that did not get that. Okay, for you to apply for jobs, once you are submitting various job applications in using one job board, for example, let's take LinkedIn job. And then for this job you're applying for, let's assume you have a skill and your development skill is React. And React is the only skill in your LinkedIn profile and in your resume. And then you're applying for all front-end developer jobs. And you know, front-end language involves Vue.js, it involves Express, and then different type of JavaScript. And even when it comes to other known code too, WordPress and the likes. And when it comes to Flutter, it's part of front end, that is front end development. Now you're applying for jobs that you're not qualified for, jobs that is not in your profile, that is not in your LinkedIn, that you do not sell yourself with this. What happened? Please ensure that you're muted. What happens here is once you apply for this job, it gets to a time where the job board filter your job application as spam, S-P-A-M. So that means, what this means is for every subsequent job you apply to, the hiring manager or the recruiter won't be able to see your job application. What is the result of this? This means you will probably never hear back from that company. You will probably not hear back from any future company, even using that tool. This is why you see people giving success story of how they got job through LinkedIn jobs. And then you submitted 300 applications and even a single interview you haven't gotten. It might be because your application is always in spam. So how do you ensure that hiring manager get to see your applications? You have to ensure that you are qualified for the role. If you got it, please kindly say, I got the explanation in the chat box. All right, awesome. I think we have EMC there. So now I hope you can all see my screen. Talking about LinkedIn job, how do you apply? How do you know jobs you are qualified for on LinkedIn or on any job application out there? Any job tool, be it LinkedIn, Indeed, be it community, because communities still follow the same. Now, is there any UI designer here or product design? Can you type yes if you are around? Products, UI, UX design. Okay, let me see, good. So now I'm going to search a job, products design, product design. Now for Nigeria, we have 126 jobs. Now what I want to do is I want to filter this to past week or past 24 hours. I think past 24 hours will give me leverage. So in the past 24 hours, we have 16 new jobs on LinkedIn jobs for the title product design. Now, this is what I will be in search for if I'm doing my job search again and taking this again and again. The first thing, let me look at this, product design. The first thing which I want to go through in this job application is straight to a section called the requirements section. The requirements. Now, in other job application, you might see it as qualification, you might see it as basic qualifications also. So the requirement section. Now, I want to know if I hit at least 70% of the job I am applying for. Okay, let me see, am I permitted to use your resume as a sample for this? Do I have the permission? So I will stop sharing and then share again. Okay, awesome. So I'll be bringing in EMC resume, and then I'll be using it as a sample for this job. Just a minute. Please give me a minute. I'm trying to remove all personal details. Okay, I think we are good now. So let me know when you can see my screen. So sharing my screen. Awesome. So this is the resume we have, which we'll be using as a sample for this section. So the first thing which I will be comparing to this job application is the requirements. Give me a few minutes. Okay. Please, can you all see my screen? So I wouldn't be talking even without you. Can you all see my screen? Or is my screen blank? What do we have here? Please give me a minute. Okay, you can see my screen. I don't know. Let me try again because I can't see reflexes from my end. Okay, now we have it. The minimum requirements. And then our aim for this is to ensure that for every job we are applying for, we want to check that we are 70% qualified. So assuming I'm the applicant for this role, product design, with the resume by the rights. Now, how many qualifications do we have here? The minimum requirements. This should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6. So for 6, we want to ensure that we hit 70%. 70% of 6 should be around 4 out of 6. So we want to ensure we hit a minimum of 4 out of 6 qualifications there. So looking at EMC resume, the first qualifications which we have here is a minimum of bachelor degree or an HND degree in electronics computer science in any discipline, and a professional qualifications of 3 years experience with a focus on either visual or graphics design in industrial design. So there are 2 qualifications here. The first is, as an applicant, I must have a degree, either an HND or a bachelor. So do I have a bachelor degree? University of Lagos, Bachelor of Science, graduated 2001. Yes, I do. So we are 1/6 out of these qualifications. The second, minimum of 3 years of experience. Do I have 3 years of experience? 3 years minimum. Now, the only experience I have here is spatial node technology. And this is between December to January. December to January is around 1 month. June to present is around 1 month. So that is 2 months. This shows that I did not hit the second. So out of 1 out of 7, I'm at 1. So let's move to the second. Creative in mixing colors, shapes, and techniques. Looking at the experience, do I have anything that has to do with color in my resume? Translated product design requirements into user interface, design desktop, make research. Now, projects, conducted user research for interviews, created personal, high fidelity design, color. Great. So I have idea doing with color. So that is 2 out of 7. And remember, our goal is to hit either 4 or 5. The next is add-on experience with computer-aided tool. Now, computer-aided tool. Now, do I have any experience with computer-aided tool? Scrolling down, let's see, do we use any tool? Front-end, back-end, user interface. Is there mention of any tool here? User experience. So let's assume I'm a UI designer. The tool I'll be needing is Adobe and then Illustrator or Figma. So do I have experience with tool? From the application, I can't see experience. Okay, I can see Figma. So experience with using any tool, that gives 3 out of 7. Please, once you log out, because of our time frame, please log in again with the same URL. We'll give 5 minutes before we kickstart the time again, because we have 7 minutes left. Let's see how far we can go. Now, good knowledge about 3D modeling design. All I need to do is to search for 3D modeling in the resume. 3D modeling. 0. So there is no knowledge about 3D modeling. So let's go to the next. Experience with design programs like Illustrator and Sketch. So all I need to do is to search for Sketch, even as a recruiter. Do you have experience with Sketch? Paper sketches. Do you have experience with Illustrator? Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, yes. So that gives 4 out of 7 experiences. Now, time management skill. Do you have experience with time? Is there anything that based on timing? No. So 4 out of 7, let's do this calculation. 4 over 7 times 100%. Let's see, 4 divided by 7 times 100%. So this means you are 57% qualified for this job, not 70. Now, applying for this job is a risk. If you apply, there is very medium probability that you're going to hear back from the recruiter. You can apply to fulfill all righteousness, but then, as I said earlier, there is minimum probability that you're going to hear back because you are not 70% qualified for this job. Let's take a look at another job. Now, we'll search for product design. Let's look at intern, product design intern. Let me, because they are just two, I'm putting this to past week. So I just have senior product design, and this is not an internship role. So let me change this to Poland, because Poland, Indian is close to Nigeria in time of remote work. Okay, EMEA. So I think this will give us more. Okay, this gives us more results. So what we're looking at is product design. Okay, junior product design. Now we are going straight to the requirement section. Now this turn the requirement section into skill. What are the skills you should have? Let's look at the first. You are in your last year of school and you are finishing your studies dedicated to web development. Now, looking at our resume, are you in your last year of school, education, finished 2001? This shows you did not eat this. So how many requirements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8. And that means we are expected to eat either 5 or 6 over 8 to reach 70%. So let's look at the second. You have a portfolio or PDF linked to your website. Do I have a portfolio? Yeah, I think we have a balanced portfolio in here. So we are 1 out of 8. Let's look at the next. You are able to conceptualize innovative design, identify new functionalities, prioritize user need, and communicate your idea. Now, let's take the look of board. Are you able to conceptualize your idea? Now, you can say, yes, I can, but then this has to show in your resume. You must show me that there is a place in the resume where you have the view of creating concepts or making identical new functionalities. So first, in my resume, I must have something like innovative interface. Now, do we have the keyword interface in there? Interface. Yeah, so I have that. Translated product design to user interface. So definitely that gives us 2 out of 8. So once you don't have this, for any time you see comma in job application, it means or. So either you are able to conceptualize innovative ideas, interface, or you identify new functionalities, or you prioritize user need, or you communicate your idea. So common means or in job application. The next, you speak English and understand French as a prerequisite. So you speak English or you understand French. So these are two requirements. First, you are able to speak English. Second, and you must know French. So let's look at, do we have the word English? English in your language. You just have only English as a language. This shows you did not meet that qualification because this shows English and French. The next, you like working on a team. So do you have the word team in your resume? Please, can you take notes how I'm searching for this keyword? Lead a team, good. So that shows 3 out of 8 qualifications. The next, skill in UX or UI design. Now, this has to do with user research. Now, let's look at the word user research. 2 out of 2. We have skill user research, and then you told me how to use it, conducted user research. So that shows you're not just listing this as a skill. You spoke about how you use it within your previous experience. So that gives us 4 out of 8 qualifications. The next, you desire a progress as a product designer. And then last, you know how to use Figma. So that gives us 6 out of 8 qualification. Do I have the word Figma? Yes. So 6/8 times 100, that gives 75%. So what does this show? This shows that once you are applying for this job in Paris, there is high probability. In short, a 70 to 80% probability that you are going to get an interview. So I will stop there. Awesome. So in conclusion, for reviewing of the job application for the UMC resume, if there is one thing you realize between the two jobs, the one with 3 years of experience and the other with a junior or an internship, you're going to realize that the first resume, that is UMC, it's preferable you go for the one with internship to entry level than with full level 3 years and maximum. So that's what it is there. So going through with second example, we'll be using, okay, awesome. So remember, we are looking at how to tips on successful job application today. All right, so we're going through with this example, a developer. Now, let's look for a developer job. Is it a front end or a back end? React.js, so front end. So let me quickly show you something. Please. Please ensure you're muted. Now, let's look at something. Once you're looking for a job, developer, let's put this to Nigeria. And then we don't care for now. I want to bring out something if it's a backend, a front-end developer. So we'll be looking at this backend developer at UCAD. Now, straight down to skills. Now, there is no skill, no enough information, but we have. Ensure you are muted. If you are not muted, you'll be removed, please.
I'm coming. I'm trying to mute my mic.
Okay, sorry for that. So for this, we have proven work of experience then this shows us that this is the requirement, although it's not emphatically stated. Now, the first is proven work of experience as a backend developer, particularly in the financial service. What's this saying? It says that you must have a backend developer experience, and it will be great if you have experience in developing fintech service. So let's look at this. The keyword we want to look at is backend. Do we have any? No. Intermediate level expertise with C and .NET. So we're looking at keyword C and .NET. .NET. We don't have any as a skill. C Sharp. We don't have any as a skill. Now, if you're applying for this job, random job as a developer is going to do you more harm than good. So what I want to do here is instead search for front-end developer role instead of the specialized developer. You can see the difference, 21 results in the past week. So we're going to look at the Bob Africa. Now we're looking straight at requirements. So how many requirements do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 requirements. And this shows you must be 70%. That shows you must eat at least 7 out of these 10 skills. The first, understanding of web markup, either web markup. And this has to do with HTML5 and CSS. So what we want to do is we want to search for keyword HTML5. Yeah, you told me you develop a counter app with HTML and CSS3. CSS3. So that is you have 1 out of 10 bullet points. Let's look at the next. Basic understanding of server-side CSS pre-processing platforms, such as less and SAS. So we're looking for keyword less. You don't have that. And the next CSS keyword, SAS. Do you have that? You don't have that. So that is 1 out of 10 still. The next, proficient understanding of client-side scripting, JavaScript frameworks, including jQuery. So we're looking at keyword jQuery. You don't have that. Now, what you can do, because you do not have the keyword jQuery, they're talking about various JavaScript framework. If you are aware of other JavaScript framework, such as React.js, now what you want to include is the keyword JavaScript framework. Now, I can see React.js. So what you want to change here is ensure proper workflow and tackling for the React.js developer using Trello. Now, okay, this project was created with React.js. So what you want to include here is this project was created using a JavaScript framework called React.js and Twilio CSS. If Twilio CSS is a server-side scripting, now you can include that. Why do this? Because most recruiters are not technical. They are not programmers. They are just a human resource. And then what you're looking for is keywords such as JavaScript framework, React.js. So once you do not have that skill listed, your application is off. So for this resume, assuming I'm not a technical recruiter, I will say you are still 1 out of 10. That is, this, you did not eat this because you did not have any client-side scripting or a JavaScript framework or jQuery in your resume. This is not true for a technical recruiter, but I am assuming that I am not a technical recruiter. Okay, the next, good understanding of advanced JavaScript libraries and frameworks, such as AngularJS. Do we have experience with AngularJS? No. Knockout.js. Do I or media have experience with Knockout.js? No. Backbone.js. Does he have experience with Backbone.js? No. React.js. Does he have experience with React.js? React.js. Yes. Now the difference is React.js is joined together, while yours is separated by comma. Please ensure this is joined together. just like this. Okay. Now, what this means is you must have either an Angular JS or you must know Knockout JS or Backbone. So 1 out of all these is a must. So we've hit 2 out of 10. Please ensure you are muted. The next is good understanding of asynchronous handling or partial page updates or Ajax for short. So do you have experience with Ajax? No. What about asynchronous handling? No. So this means you are not hitting this. Please take note. If you've done this within a particular project, before applying for this job, you need to add it to your resume under that project or under that company. The next is basic knowledge of image authoring tool to be able to crop, resize, or reform platform. Example, with GIFs, do you have experience with GIFs? No. Figma, do you have experience with Figma? No. Photoshop, do you have experience with Photoshop? No. So this shows you are still on a scale of 2 out of 10. Note, a UI designer is expected to deliver resources for the web developer to inquire. However, often front-end developer needs to make smaller adjustments. Good and fine. That is not an experience. So that gives 9 out of, okay, that gives 3 over 10 because that is not an experience. Now, proficient understanding of cross-browser compatibility issue and way to go around them. Now, do you have experience with cross-browser compatibility or compatibility issue in short? No. Proficient understanding of code versioning, such as Git. Do you have experience with Git? Yes. So that gives us 4 out of 10. Good understanding of SEO practice. Now, have you done any SEO work? No. So 4 out of 10, this means for this job application, once you apply, let's give it in a percentage, 4 over 10 times 100. So that's 40% qualified. If you're applying with that resume for this role in the Bob Africa, you are likely never going to hear back from them. So let's take a look at another job application. Front end, React and React Native developer. Should we look at this? No. Let's look at the example with the front end developer. Okay, I'm going to change this to Poland first for those looking for remote work. Front-end developer, YEMO. So what you will be doing, let's look at. Okay, there's no requirement for this. Let's look at eGrow technology. Skills that you will need. First, HTML. Do I have experience with HTML? Yes. So that gives me, what's the total number we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. That gives me 1 out of 6. Do I have experience with web components? When you see and, it shows you must have experience with the tool. Web components, no. So experience with building component-based front end. Do I have experience with that? Let's say yes. Advanced level of CSS, JavaScript, and Git. Do you have experience with CSS? CSS for these. CSS, yes, I do. So either CSS, JavaScript, and Git. Do I have experience with all those? Yeah. So that gives me 3 out of 6. Basic understanding of design system concepts. Do I have anything like a design system? Let's say no. Communication, able to communicate, and then good English language skill. Do you have experience with English? No. Although you wrote this resume in English, but then there's nothing like English in your resume. So please ensure you have language listed English. If you're applying for a role in a French company like Poland, now they want to see that you have language English listed. So for this, if I'm applying for this resume for a douche company like Igro, I eat, I think 4 out of 6 or 3 out of 6. So 4 times 6 times 100. So that gives 66%. That shows for this role, you might hear from them and you might not. So they have other example with Vue.js, CI/CD, REST API. Nice to have. So what does this mean? This means nice to have. If you have experience with either of these, there is higher probability that you're going to hear from them. Do you use REST? REST API. REST API. No, you don't have experience with REST API. So you need to go and revamp your resume. Now you have to do it. This, you can see this process is manual, it's stressful. That's why I keep saying job search is a full-time job on its own. You commit 8 hours per day if you are seriously looking for a job. 8 hours per day if you are seriously looking for a job. Now, for every of these applications, you do this manually for 10 jobs you're applying for. Apply for the job role 10. Then you do this manually for 10 of those jobs. And for the subsequent job, you can just send in your application. Okay. So we are done with how to know if you are qualified for a job.